there.
Hi,
It's
nice
so
to meet
lovely to
you.
chat to you. I need to
Oh,
get
it's
some
awesome.
housekeeping out of the way first.
Yes,
I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old who
amazing.
would like to tell you that they love Bluey.
Oh,
They would like me to tell you that their favourite episodes are Swim School and Cubby. And
oh, awesome.
I was talking to them, and my 8-year-old was quite switched on, and she said, can I ask him something? And I said, yeah, sure, shoot. What would you like?
Yeah.
What would you like it to be? And she said, can you ask him, please, if he likes his job? And I thought, what a cracking opener for the interview. So, Joff Bush.
That is a great question, but it's amazing. I get you can tell them I get to watch Bluey episodes all day. I mean, what's better than that? It's so much fun. And I get to play music with some of my favorite people.
I want to come on to this kind of the deeper talking about the music in Bluey, because it's so much more than the theme tune. But I think we can't ignore the theme tune. 24
No,
seconds that the majority of people can hum. How do you get your head around the fact that 24 seconds is synonymous with one of the biggest things now, in the world of children? What are your memories of when that theme tune came together?
yeah, it's funny because Bluey wasn't a thing when we first started on it. Of course, it was an idea, and it was beautiful collaboration where we're trying to work out what the show is and how it feels and what it sounds like. I think that was maybe the eighth draft, and the key to unlocking that was Joe Brum, the creator, telling me, it's going to be a game of musical statues, which is the game they're playing there. But we wanted to introduce the characters. Um, there's a few little secret little bits in there. There's the gaps in the middle each get shorter, so before the shout. So it goes once the music stops, you can count 1, 2, 3, mum, and then when the music stops again, you can count 1, 2, dad, and then for the final one, you want one bingo, and then Bluey all at once. And so that was just to sort of build up, introducing the characters leading up to the title. And
I mean, it's joyful. It's cheeky.
yeah,
It's optimistic. It kind of it draws you in, ready to kind of. And there's a speed about it where you think, right, we've got to sit down now and get ready to watch the episode. It kind of
yeah,
makes you think, right, we've got this amount of time. Here we go. Let's boogie, and then let's sit down.
yeah.
And then you're into the
Oh,
episode.
yeah, absolutely. And we don't use the theme throughout the episode. Every episode has its own piece of music that's unique to that episode and helps tell that story. But yeah, I think definitely one of the things I never thought would happen would be that families would get up and dance along to it or anything like that, because on paper you do excellent. On paper, there's no drums. It's a melodica. It's if I wrote down what I plan to do, there's 5/4 bars in the middle of it. It's on melodica. There's no drums. If I present that, this is my idea for a theme. Um, there won't be too many people who go, great, let's do it. But I think it's a real. I really have to hand it to the creators, the producers, and Joe Brum, who all just went, no, that feels right. That feels like Bluey, and you know, and let's do it. And yeah, I'm really glad they did.
And when do you know that you are going to include a piece of classical music into an episode?
That's a really good question. Often it's pretty early on, because there's a lot of the time we might be doing something where I like to say it's taking the domestic into the sublime. So we're looking at a piece of classical music that's really part of the cultural fabric that has many meanings. So like Sleepytime, using Jupiter from the Planets. And so often Joe Brum will come up with something, he'll have an idea for it, or I'll be playing him, oh, these pieces of music I think would work beautifully in this episode. And we either do that, in most of the cases of classical music, we're doing that, we're trying to celebrate, elevate the episode in that way, bring it from something that's just a family, I don't know, watching TV or something, to this, it's actually this grand, beautiful thing.
I mean, it was named one of the best TV episodes of 2020 by the New York Times. and
Yeah,
that's pretty
right.
high caliber, I think.
That's good. Yeah. They've
Why?
got good taste.
Yeah, they certainly do. But it's like a seminal moment within when that piece of music starts to play. Why do you
Yeah.
think it's so special?
It's such a rousing piece. It's gone beyond its original intended meaning. We seeded the themes throughout the episode. So what I mean by that is we'll have a little echo of it playing whenever the parents are showing love to their children. And so when it comes back at that pivotal moment at the end, it's the thing that really kicks it off is Bingo saying, "No, I'm a big girl now," and that's such an important developmental stage for kids. So when we hear the full version of it, there we're sort of subconsciously reminded of that of the parents' love for the kids, and I think that's a powerful idea that, and Chili's voiceover on that moment is such a powerful idea that yes, you're starting to grow your independence, but your parents will always be there for you, is such an emotional and powerful idea. And that's what we tried to do structurally with the music within that episode, seeding little themes throughout to create representations. So when it comes back at the end, hopefully it feels even more powerful. But I think it was already there. Like, you watch that episode even without the music, it's incredible.
My girls were familiar with that piece, and that's one of the few classical pieces that they are familiar with, and it just so happens to be in an episode of one of their favourite TV shows. I mean, how do you think that it is a lovely way of introducing classical music to children?
Yeah, I think so. I think I think they're just they're such incredible pieces. Have stood the test of time, and so it's always great to when kids are getting involved with that, but also seeing it from a perspective that they can relate to. They're seeing it not from an adult perspective. They're seeing it from a place that they can really enjoy these great pieces of music. But yeah, I don't know. I've got a question for you. Do you have people? I've heard people who are music teachers and stuff. They'll try to talk about a piece of classical music, and then the students will go, "No, that's from Bluey." Is that something that you've experienced as well?
Personally, yes, because you will hear something. If, for example, Classic FM is on in the background, one of my girls will say, "That's Bluey." And in fact, that's how that sparked a conversation. That very piece sparked a conversation with my girls. And I said, it's not, it didn't originally come from Bluey. And when I only watched Sleepytime for the first time a few weeks ago, actually, because, everyone has their favourites. And whenever I say to the girls, "Do you want to watch Bluey?" they always pick the ones they want. And I said, "But I haven't seen Sleepytime." And the eldest one said to me, it's got a famous piece of music in it, because she knows what I do. And I was able to tell her in turn that actually Holst's The Planets was the first piece of classical music that I ever listened to, because I stole it from my stepdad.
Really?
I stole it from my stepdad's CD collection, and it was what got me into classical music as well. So now we're actually going to see him on Saturday because it's his birthday, and she said she wants to see the CD with the Tipex mark by Jupiter, because I've talked to her about it. So it goes full circle.
That's the best story. That makes me so happy. I'm really glad. I think it's just anything that encourages kids to listen and be part of music, and hopefully maybe one day play it is so important, and that story makes me so happy. Thank you.
It certainly is. I mean, it's slightly controversial what I'm going to say next, perhaps, but I love that episode. But I would have to say my favourite actually currently is Rain. Rain is my favourite episode.
Beautiful. Yeah, thanks.
And there's no dialogue. It's completely music. And I was talking to a colleague earlier, and I was explaining why the story, because she hadn't seen it. And the basic premise of the story is that Bluey is playing and trying to stop the rain, and Chili, Mum, is running around trying to do all sorts of chores, and then just wants to sit down and rest. And then she watches her daughter failing to complete the task that she wants to teach, that she wants to complete. And then so Chili puts everything else aside, goes out in the rain, gets wet and plays with her daughter. And even as I was relaying that story to my colleague this morning, I was welling up, because as the mother of two daughters, I know what that feels like for them to want to play with me, or for me to see them doing something and thinking, I've got 10,000 things to do right now. But you know what? I'm just going to go and play and be with you and be present and spend time.
Yeah, and that episode is really special to me because my assistant of like 5 or 6 years, Jazz Darcy, and I wrote that episode together, and it was after she joined me right at the beginning of Bluey, and so it was, and we're going, well, this is a music episode. We got to do this. Let's do this one together, and it was just a lovely collaboration, and it just felt right. Sometimes things just flow and they just feel right, and that was one of those episodes. So I'm really glad you like it.
Which instruments do you always start with?
Well, I'm a pianist. I'm a failed. I actually studied piano when I first finished school, and I'm a terrible pianist. I ended up switching my degree to composition halfway through on the advice of my piano tutor. So that gives you an idea. But I always start with piano. I often sit down and record me playing the piano, or I sit there with a pen and paper and try to imagine it in a very old-fashioned way of scrolling on pieces of music. But part of that Bluey sound is having a small ensemble. So part of it was like, I can get a violinist, I can sing on it, and I'll play accordion, and that sort of that texture became the sound of Bluey, those three instruments.
And I also have to ask you, probably finally, one day Bluey will end. One day Bluey will have run her course, or will have grown up or graduated or whatever. And apart from sleep for 1,000 years, which you're not now going to do actually with a newborn.
No.
What are you at the point yet where you think about anything else? What you might want to do next? What the future might hold?
Yeah, I've got some. I'm actually, working on a few other projects as well. Some that are really exciting. And it's annoying. Now I can't talk about any of them yet. But I've been just enjoying the Bluey ride at the moment, and there's so much that we're doing at the moment that I can't. I'm squeezing on these other little things as well on the side, and they're really fun, and just give me a new perspective. But yeah, I haven't really thought about a very specific goal. Just want to keep making stuff that I think is beautiful.
Well answered. Very diplomatic. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Lovely to meet you.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Lovely to meet you. Thanks so much. Have a good one.